Hello, and welcome back to the Ashley Beeman Show. Today we're going to be talking about sugar and why sugar isn't the villain, but really fear around sugar is hurting a lot of people. So yesterday I had posted actually it wasn't yesterday, it was a couple days ago. I'm not really certain at this point. I'm recording this on Wednesday. This podcast is going to go out on Thursday. We don't waste time around here. We just do things in real time. Anyways, I posted a TikTok about how I had eaten clean for a decade and I still wasn't able to lose weight, keep the weight off, and feel healthy. It wasn't until I started to learn about macros was I actually able to achieve like sustainable health, sustainable weight loss. It wasn't until I learned how proteins, carbs, and fats worked in my body was I actually able to heal my relationship with food, not be scared of food, and really achieve not only the health that I desired, but also the body that I desired. And in this video, I was basically making my pre-workout meal, which my pre-workout meal lately has been my sourdough English muffins. If you want the recipe to those, you can send me a message. I will send it to you. It's also on all of my social media pages a couple weeks back. So I've been making these sourdough English muffins. They're so good. And what I do is I put a little bit of butter on them, and then I put 1 serving of strawberry spread, like the organic one that you get from Costco. And somebody posted underneath that video that I was eating straight sugar and that wasn't healthy at all. And then they said that sugar is as addictive as cocaine. And honestly, this is exactly why so many women are terrified of food, have a bad relationship with food, and fear everything to the point where they don't trust themselves because every decision that they make seems to be wrong, because this is what is spread in the online space. It's literally about fearing things. And then you feel like, well, if I have to fear everything, then I can't make a right decision. I'm always doing something wrong. So that in turn will break your self-trust. And when you don't have any self-trust, you feel like you can't make the right decisions for your health. And I truly believe that more education and more truth around food is what will help women break free from that. And I know for me, like I said, it wasn't until I learned how to track macros was I able to free myself from all of the fear around food, around, like carbs and sugar and all of those things, to where I could find true food freedom and still create a healthy lifestyle where I was able to lose 60 pounds and keep it off for 6 years now. And so what I want to talk about today is like, sugar is not the enemy. Diet culture made sugar the villain. Wellness influencers made it moral, and extreme messaging created a generation of women who second guess every single bite that they take. But the truth is, sugar is literally just carbs. Your body breaks all carbs down: bread, fruit, honey, vegetables, jam, into glucose. Different speeds with different fiber content and different nutrition profiles, but it's all the same final fuel in the end. You can absolutely eat sugar and still be healthy, still lose weight, still hit your goals. And here is the thing: sugar is not as addictive as cocaine. And let's talk about why the reality of that is. So for context, I was addicted to stimulants for years. I was really highly addicted to Adderall for almost 3 years. Before that, I was addicted to phentermine, which is a stimulant that was used for weight loss. I think it still is to this day, but either way. And I can tell you right now that the things that I did in order to get the drug that I wanted, nobody has ever done to get sugar. Nobody walks around with a bag of sugar like snorting it or just taking spoonfuls and eating it. And I always get the argument, well, you can easily get sugar. You can walk into the store and grab a candy bar. Well, a candy bar also has fat and protein in it. Also, your body doesn't need drugs to survive, but it does need proteins, carbs, and fats to survive. So the studies that people cite about cocaine being just as addictive, or sugar being just as addictive as cocaine, they're done on rats. They're in food deprived states. They're comparing sugar to highly addictive drugs under extreme conditions. And also, it also triggers the same. So sugar does trigger the same reward system in your brain as cocaine does, but also so does petting puppies. And nobody's addicted to petting puppies. So is sugar rewarding? Yes. Does it trigger dopamine? Absolutely. So does literally every enjoyable thing in life, coffee, exercise, hugs, sunlight, does dopamine always equal addiction? No. What people mistake for sugar addiction is usually chronic undereating or chronic overeating, restriction, guilt, and swinging between like deprivation cycles to binge cycles, which is not a sugar problem. It's literally a restriction problem. It's also a misunderstanding of how proteins, carbs, and fats and sugar works in your body. So why sugar withdrawal symptoms are often just a food withdrawal, and it's oftentimes what happens is your hunger cues get off. So most withdrawals, quote unquote, people think are sugar withdrawals. They're simply that your body is adjusting from years of inconsistent eating. Maybe you were under eating carbs, or maybe you were over consuming carbs. Maybe your blood sugar swings from not fueling yourself consistently, or there's psychological fear-based reactions to food rules. If you are consistently not eating enough protein, carbs, and fats, sugar stops feeling out of control. So too much sugar can dysregulate hunger, but the context with that matters. Yes, a diet high in added sugars and low in nutrients can mess with your hunger hormones, but sugar itself isn't harmful. It becomes an issue when it replaces nutrients or it's paired with chronic stress and poor sleep. 1 tablespoon of jam on a homemade English muffin, not even close to that territory. Fear-mongering people makes people obsess over like every little thing instead of looking at the bigger picture. When if we would zoom out and focus on the bigger picture, we would have more healthy individuals in this world. If we would stop fear-mongering people around food, around the additives, around the things that they simply can't freaking control, we would have more healthy people in society. So sugar can actually be helpful, especially when it's used for a pre-workout energy, a quick carb source, decompressing meals during reverse dieting, reducing the urge to binge, adding satisfaction, is that how you say that? Satisfaction. Why does that sound weird? I don't know. But basically adding that to meals, improving adherence, because we don't stick to things that we hate. And when we can learn how to incorporate foods that we like, even if that includes sugar, you are going to be able to be consistent more often than not. And consistency is literally the missing link to everything. The healthiest diet is the one that you can actually follow, and sugar fits in with that. So the fear is simply destroying your self-trust. When someone is terrified of a tablespoon of jam, they're not afraid of sugar. They're afraid of making the wrong choice. When you consistently feel like everything is wrong, you lose trust in your ability to nourish your body. You swing between perfection and I don't freaking care anymore. And this is where yo-yo dieting happens. And eventually you check out of your health completely because fear ruins your consistency. Understanding builds freedom. When you understand macros, you stop fearing food. Macros take the emotion out of food. When you understand what your body actually needs, carbs are fuel, protein is recovery, fats are for hormones, sugar is just a quick carb, you stop obsessing, you stop spiraling, you stop labeling foods as good and bad, and your results finally become sustainable. So, in closing, you don't need to cut sugar to be healthy. You don't need to fear sugar to lose weight. You need consistency, balance, and understanding. When you stop demonizing sugar, you stop demonizing yourself. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you screenshot it, share it onto Instagram, tag me in it. If you would like to learn more about how to count macros, about what a protein, a carb, and a fat is, I have a few different options available to work with me. All of that will be available in the show notes below. And of course, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.